Hey, what's up, my construction entrepreneurs? Tyrone Jones here with the Construction Entrepreneurs School and Services. Hey, just want to talk about one of the main questions I get, um, if not daily, definitely weekly, is where do I start? And it's usually where do I start to get my license? Where do I start to start my construction company? Where do I start to get work? Where do I? And all these questions is all related to creating your own company. Where do I go? How do I get this thing taken off? And the answer is different for each individual because depending on where each individual is at, depending on what type of answer you need, what type of resources you may need to go after and things like that. But just to blanket everything, um, you start where you're at. So um, I'll go back to where I started. I started um, when I first got into the construction industry. I started and I started with a actual company. Right, I wasn't doing. I didn't start off doing work by myself. I didn't start off. Not I started off as a labor for a company, for a construction company. Now, I was luckily enough. I was lucky enough to be with a company that allowed you to work into multiple areas of the trade. So I jumped in with a concrete company. So what I mean about working multiple areas of the trade, some companies follow a unionized standard where once you're in the form setting side. Once you're in the concrete finishing side. Once you're in the finished work side. Once you're in the framing side. And then you only stay with that. Well, with the company I got, well, it was a small enough company to where I was able to move around in every part of the construction. I was a laborer. I shovel concrete, right? While shoveling concrete, I clean concrete tools for the finishers. I loaded the truck for you know for, for a long time. I loaded lumber, unloaded lumber. I cleaned lumber. I We used to treat the lumber as well. That was crazy dealings. But during this time when I was doing all these lower positions, I did not have a desire to start my own company. For you ones that are already ahead of it, further than I was back then, that's great. You should at least be with some type of company where you can gain different knowledge, do different tasks, so you can learn every aspect of whatever trade that you're in. Okay. Um, but I started, once after that, I was able to catch edges. I finally, after I passed all these stages, I was able to, and mind you, it was not anything to where the company that I was with was like, okay, hey, you're going to move up to the next stage. No, I actually had to, ask for a lot of the opportunities that I took on. No one offered them. No one said, hey, you're going to now start cleaning edges. No, I had to continue to convince people and show them that I was capable of doing it. And then sometimes I just had to strong arm it and just start doing it and ignore everything else I was doing, or get everything else I was doing done and then be able to jump on that new task. But it was a struggle and I had to keep pushing. And then I started operating the backhoe. Then I started working with an individual by the name of Dave and Dale. His name was Dale. And Dale taught me how to lay out homes. So I started laying out actual homes. It was squared up, laid out the interior walls, interior footings, the plumbing. We'll lay it all out, and then I'll go and dig it, and then I'll string it up, and I'll form set it as well. Now, not by myself, but with other individuals. So I was in different phases of this construction company. And that's where I started at. And then I literally jumped with another company, which, some of you folks know my story later on. With the other company I jumped with, it was, I wound up partnering up with that company years later. But with that company, when I jumped in there, I was able to learn the admin side of the construction business. That was the biggest benefit there. So one company I was with, I was able to jump in to the multiple um, trades, right? Or the multiple sections of trades. I was doing concrete, so I was able to jump in every part of concrete, from the demo, operating equipment, form setting, cleaning tools. I even did rod busting, to where I laid the rebar and hung rebar for foundations and driveways, driving stakes. I dug ditches, riprap pads. We done all kind of V ditches, So that part I learned all in the field. Everything that, not everything, but a lot of what we do within my trade. So that was great. Well, the next company I got with, this was crucial. The next company I got with, I was able to learn the admin side of things, invoicing, um, labor burden, right? I didn't learn about breaking down labor burden percentage, but I learned about what was labor burden, what was overhead, right? I knew that those things had to go into your estimate. Now, at that time, I did not know how to estimate, but I was already on the verge of wanting to have my own business. So I just literally took all that stuff in. So where you're at right now, if you're with a company and you're not able to, venture out into every spectrum of that company, or maybe that company only does one thing. Look at it as, it's an opportunity to learn. Look at it as they're paying you to go to school. Okay, they're paying you to learn how to run your business. Now you need to gather the right information and put yourselves in the right positions to get the most amount of information, so you can go out there and build a successful company and learn what because you have to realize this. There was things that I learned through that journey, through those two companies, that I apply now, years later. Okay, there's things that got brought up to where I was like, oh, you know what, I know something about this, and I was able to do a research, and then it comes back up, and then I was able to navigate and figure out a solution for whatever I was dealing with within my current business, from what I already went through before. So take what you're doing now. If you don't have your license, if you're not even sure what license you want to get, you know, be a sponge. Absorb where you're at and get as much knowledge as you can, so it can benefit you down the road. The biggest knowledge you want to get is what you don't want to do. Okay, we're already going to do what we want to do, right? And what I mean by that is we're tradesmen, right? And we like to work with our hands. What we don't like to do is the admin side of things. So focus on, try to learn as much as you can for the admin, whether that's daily timesheets. If you can't get into the office, then maybe you are the foreman, or maybe you're close to the foreman or work for a foreman. Find out what that foreman does. What paperwork they're given to fill out. If they're not given any paperwork to fill out, find out what they were doing at their last job that they had to do. So try to get as much information as you can. Okay, and that way you can, utilize those tools later on, and it becomes an extreme benefit. Believe me. Now that jumps into um, the individuals out here that already have their license. Maybe you're still working for a company, and you're just doing side jobs. Right now it's very hard to get some side jobs going, but maybe you're just doing side jobs, and maybe you have your license, don't know how to transition from having a 9 to 5 to actually doing your entrepreneur thing. That is always a tough transition. But until you find that right opportunity, because everybody's opportunity to transition is different. If you look back on my story was different on how I was able to transition. I was actually laid off. Because I was laid off, I was able to start my full fledged business And then that's how I started. Now, some people actually go cold turkey and just jump, and then they jump full force into what they're doing and make that work. You have to decide where you need to transition to get out of your 9 to 5 to your to running your business full time. Um, it may be tough, it may be easy, it may be smooth, but when that opportunity comes, you need to make a move. But during that, up until that opportunity, you need to get as much admin information in regards to running a successful construction business as much as possible in you. That's whether you're taking classes, you need to take classes, whether you're able to get in the office and kind of feel what they do. The AR department, APAR department, going into talking to, maybe even sitting down talking to the controller, if that company has a controller, figure out what they do, and how that person understands the working of the business of their position. Talking to estimators. you know Estimating is a big part. A lot of us think that we know how to estimate when we really don't. Kind of like when I first got into construction industry, and someone handed me a shovel, was like, dig this ditch, and I didn't know how to properly use a shovel. I did not know how to properly use a shovel. I was just sticking the shovel in there and scooping dirt, and I have a little bit. Someone showed me how to put my foot down on it, wiggle it, push it down, scoop, hit it, loosen up dirt, dig down, put some force, dig out, get a full scoop, throw it out. So I learned how to properly use a shovel. Same thing with everything else. You think you know how to estimate, but learn how to properly estimate, right? You got to learn about your overhead percentage, right? How to create your overhead percentage, how to formulate your overhead percentage, labor burden. These are very crucial things into estimating. How to formulate a labor burden. Okay, what is your profit percentage? Okay, you have to learn these things, and how to build a bid. Okay, and that's where you go at to build your next company.
Messages Jonathan Sean brother. Thanks bro. Appreciate it. Gonna be rich.
That's good, man. Um, um, I'm glad you're going to be rich, man. That was a text that just came through anyway. So, but that brings me to what we offer here at the school. Check us out. We got courses on our website. We got one that's dealing with numbers. Okay, where you can actually learn about your labor burden percentage. Okay, you can actually learn about your overhead percentage. Okay, which is crucial. Labor burden, overhead percentage is crucial. These things you must need to learn how to estimate a job properly. A lot of people go into it just really guesstimating on a lot of these numbers, and how to form these numbers. It's like, hey, well, I pay a guy $20 an hour. Well, I want to make $10, so I'm gonna mark it up to $30. And it's not properly the way to actually estimate a job or to build rates. So I got a series on my website where you learn how to build rates, you learn about labor burden, and you learn about your overhead percentage. Look at that course. It covers everything, and you get the spreadsheets with it as well. So you'll get the spreadsheet to learn how to formulate your overhead. That means that you're going to input in those line items, cell phone, office, paper, fuel if you want to charge for fuel for your vehicle. Um, I said office. What if that's an office in your home or wherever it's at? You put a percentage toward that, and then you put a salary amount toward you, your staff, maybe someone, your wife, your husband, your brother, your cousin, your uncle, whoever you have on staff, and you want to have them as a salary position in the overhead column. Then you can actually input salary numbers, and then it'll actually tell you what percentage you need to add to your estimate to cover your overhead. And then once you figure out your overhead, this is the great thing about it. It'll actually tell you what you need to go after on a sales amount per month. That means that what I need to go after. See, a lot of people don't understand that their overhead can tell them where they what sales number they need to achieve to be able to cover their overhead. Okay, it tells you, like, I need to go for $150,000 worth of work to be able to cover my overhead, pay myself, pay my whoever's my go-to person that's on my payroll on the salary. Okay, we're talking about outside of hourly rates being charged to a job, right? We're talking about indirect costs. You're going to learn what is indirect cost and what is direct cost. I go through this in this video. Okay, I go through it. Check it out. Go to the website. Matter of fact, there will be a link below in the description for that course and another course. I also have a course there that's for $4.99, $4.99. You should be taking courses like this all the time to gather as much information you can learn so you can get your business to that next level. And when it's time, you'll have it already, or you can always go back to it to learn even more about it or to reabsorb that information. Okay, so hey, check out the course, check out the link below. It's very crucial. Learn as much as you can. Learn as much as you can because you're going to need it on this journey. All right, my construction entrepreneurs, I'm going to let you go with that. Remember, hustle hard, then hustle harder. Catch you on the next one. If you own your own company, have employees, make your own hours, then you are a construction entrepreneur. Express yourself, express your craft. Let the world know who you are. Get your shirt today at www.constructionentrepreneurs.com.